Howdy y'all, I am Icegold, and today we are going to be re-ranking every single world in this game, and there are 20 entries here. I've decided to combine Grizzleheim and Wintertusk again, just because, felt like that's a good idea. So, we're still at 20, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure y'all have seen like a ranking every worlds video before, so y'all know the drill at this point. So just hitting that yoinky splunky to start us off. But we're going to be starting off with our number 20 entry and last place, I might add. That, of course, being Celestia. I have never been a fan of this world. I really cannot lie. It is not one that I have ever found to be particularly fun. It is the start of the second arc. But, I mean, it's kind of like the last ugly world that they released. I mean, because like, just look around, you got like the low poly stuff and the jagged edges everywhere, but overall Celestia, I think, it's a bit of a slog, because if you look at it, you've got like, you start off on the survey camp, which is okay, but the grotto is my least favorite street in the entire game. Y'all cannot change my mind on that. It is basically something that a lot of these streets is going to have in common is that they are slow, boring, and unengaging. And yeah, I mean, I could go over all of the streets, but I have already done that, as I have with every single one of these worlds. So, yeah, if y'all want to see my individual thoughts on any of these streets, then you can go check out their respective worlds videos from over the past few months, so there you go. But overall, Celestia is just one that I really do not enjoy. It is just like, you can just get crit on and lose all your health on turn one. It's like, I don't like being here, and every single time I'm done, I am very happy, because it means that I don't have to be here anymore. So there's that. But at least we get introduced to astral magic here. So I think that that is probably the biggest positive of the world. These astral trainers, like the Sun School trainer, you can get your damage enchants from those. Obviously not the ones that I haven't trained, but all of the fist enchants you can get from those. So pretty neat there. But all in all, that's kind of it for Celestia. It's my least favorite world in the game. It has been my least favorite world in the game, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. In 19th place, we've actually got Wizard City. And this is certainly... the entry being this low has everything to do with the fact that the storyline got pretty much massacred in the 2019 through 2021 first-time user experience updates, and the graphical revamp was amazing. Absolutely love it, but it's just not enjoyable anymore. It is cringe at best. Like you have... I mean, okay, so the three streets is where it's kind of at its worst. Unicorn Way is its own thing. It's a little dramatic in Unicorn Way, but it is also the first area of the game, so it can be excused a little bit. But Cyclops Lane, like the old Cyclops Lane, Nolan Stormgate, he was always kind of a dick, but now he's just like even more arrogant than before. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Triton Avenue is probably my favorite of the new streets out of the four, I would say. And it is honestly decent, I will say, It's a little infantilized, but otherwise Triton Avenue is fine. But one thing that was kind of pointless was that they swapped Arter and Susie's roles. So instead of Susie coming through having us save her brother, we have Arter having us save his sister. So it's like, just kind of what was the point in swapping them? I couldn't tell you. But it's just like, it's a change for change's sake, and it didn't really need to happen at all. And then we have Firecat Alley, which is my third least favorite street in the entire game. Wow, who could have guessed that I wouldn't like Wizard City because of the new storylines? But you get the picture. The writing in this new Wizard City is so downright terrible that, I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling. I mean, how do you... Come on, bro. Like, I get it, you know, it's the first world in the game. It's supposed to appeal to kids, you know, get that demographic in, but I don't know if a kid will like this. I mean, granted, you know, I was over 18 by the time that they started revamping the storylines of the worlds, so, you know, there's that, but I still don't see a kid finding the whole fire for fiddle over and over in Firecat Alley funny. I think that they would just find it annoying, so, yeah, I don't know. But New Wizard City is like absolute horse. I mean, the gameplay is kind of whatever. It is the first world after all, so you're kind of missing a lot of the stuff, but other than that, you know, it is pretty grim here. It's not good at all, I'm gonna say that. For what is certainly a cold take, Azteca is going to rank pretty low on the list here. It is, it's just not a world that I like much either. This is where the gameplay is probably at its worst, outside of like a couple select streets in Lemuria and Darkmoor, but other than that, I mean, come on, man. This world is unbearably long. Most of it is just like running back and forth between the same couple of areas, you know, the whole... Okay, so, one thing that I will say, you do some stuff here in the main, you know, Zocalo 3 Point Cenote area, but then once you go to the Mangrove Marsh, this is when Azteca sort of hits its first slow point, because most of what you're doing in the Mangrove Marsh, I mean, just look here. There are 5 bosses in this one little area, and then this one actually doesn't come in until the end of the world, but there's more bosses, by the way. There's, I think, a couple around here through the Tula Village Gate, but otherwise, I mean, this and then the Salt Meadow Swamp after it, you're just doing a lot of running back and forth, and it is very slow. But what's crazy is that after you are done with the Salt Meadow Swamp and the Mangrove Marsh and all of that running around, you come back here to the Zocalo for this little interlude, I think might be like the best way to put it, because you come back here and all you're doing for there's like a 20-ish quest long chain where you're doing just the most mundane tasks like helping the king and collecting the rudder for you know, to get to Zoltan Island, and there's that, and it's very unfun. But yeah, I mean, Zoltan Island, once you get there, the world starts to pick up a bit outside of like Alto Alto and the Cloudburst Forest. I personally really enjoyed the Cloudburst Forest, but anytime we go up to Alto Alto, it's like once you unlock Alto Alto, it just goes right back to being unbearably slow. The Cloudburst Forest is also where you fight your first double boss. It is just a thoroughly unfun world. The bosses here have the highest health on average out of any world in the Spiral. This includes worlds that are, you know, 90 levels higher than it. So we're clear. So that's really awesome. So overall, just Azteca, unfun experience, very long experience. This world is 197 quests long. That is like the entirety of like it's the entirety of like Novus, Wallaru, and Selenopolis combined is how long this world is. So I don't know. Not a fan. not really hard to see why. This is a very cold take. Pretty much nobody likes Azteca. The storyline is probably the only bright spot, and even then, it's only a bright spot after you get to Zoltan Island. So, there you go, right? Coming in 17th place, we have Krokotopia, and this is the second world in the game. It recently got its own graphical revamp, which I think made it look amazing. This happened with the Selenopolis update, which I thought was pretty cool. And I will be including Selenopolis here, which I don't actually think changes its ranking necessarily, because the rest of Krokotopia, to be totally honest, not a big fan. I'm gonna be so for real. The Pyramid of the Sun is kind of cool, you know. It's not super slow paced, but there are a lot of bosses, and that can be kind of a hassle to deal with, especially because they're gonna have a bit higher health, and you don't have an AoE yet, so it's like good luck with that, and the like high damage output, especially in the pyramid. But after that, you go to the Krokosphinx, which is where the world pretty much grinds to a halt. The Hall of Champions takes forever, and the Grand Arena also takes forever, but is at least still engaging. I honestly really like the storyline of the Grand Arena, and it is one of my favorite streets in Krokotopia. I can't remember if it's number 1. I think the Palace of Fire might barely edge it out, but the Grand Arena is quite good. And then the Vault of Ice and Emperor's Retreat, you know, those take a good amount of time on their own. And then the Temple of Storms is just really, really short. So, yeah. I mean, the tombs, the Jesuit family tomb and the Onyx family tomb, you fight one boss there, and then you're done. And then you go to the Karanen Barracks, where the only thing you do there is go to the Karanen Palace, and boom, there you go. And then from there you actually go off and find Krokopatra, but it's like 5 quests in the Tomb of Storms, so that's really awesome. But overall, main Krok is not that great. The pacing is all over the place, and that is an issue that a bunch of people have with it. But when you eventually come back here at level 170 to Selenopolis, yeah, I like the Tomb of the Forgotten. I think that this was well done. Some cool themes going on here. This is like the Arc 3 heavy area of the place. And then the Garden of Khonsu is a little different. I think like this is where you're with like Istar and Saren Nightchant or something like that. So I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of Selenopolis has like this infantilized writing that I've talked about before. Tomb of the Forgotten, not so much, which is probably why I like it more, but the Garden of Khonsu experiences it a little bit. You've got like the doddering old man type character going on here. And then the Marketplace of Ideas is at bottom 5 street in the game. So, isn't that swell? But, yeah. Krok, not that fun. Selenopolis, I don't think helps or hurts it on this ranking. Just, yeah, it's an early world and also, well, rather early game and also late game type of thing, so neither is really more enjoyable than the other. Coming in 16th place, and our first massive quality jump, I will say, is the world of Mooshu, and you can definitely tell by looking around that this world is pretty dated, but I still like it a decent amount, you know. The Shoshut village area is pretty slow-paced, I will say. Not as big of a fan of that. I think the Kishibe village over there is, like, I think number 10 on my least favorite streets, or something like that. It's not one that I inherently hate, it's just one of the mediocre and boring ones that I like less, so there's that, and most of Shoshun Village is like that. But the Yoshihito Temple part, I think, is really good. A little short, but that probably serves to its benefit. And then you have Hametsu Village and Tatakai Outpost, which are a little bit... It's kind of like Krokotopia, you know? It's like Hametsu Village, I think, is long enough, you know? It doesn't really overstay its welcome, though. Shoshin Village is too long, and then Yoshihito Temple is too short. So, yeah, I think it's like exactly the same kind of scenario that Krokotopia had. So, but overall, other than that, I like this world. Mooshu is still good. I like it, and yeah, not much else to say. It's a world that I still get enjoyment out of. But I mean, I have also seen Pirate101's Mooshu. That is a generational experience. I would highly recommend playing through that if you haven't. Coming to Karamelle for the 15th place spot. This is one of those worlds that I think also kind of suffers some pacing issues. It's not a long world, which I think really serves to its benefit. And I like the premise of it, in the sense that we're like taking down this big evil entity with Nana and all of that, and I like that about it. It's just that I wish we spent more of the world doing that, if it makes sense, because I mean, a lot of this is just kind of taking a tour around the world, and then just bouncing around doing whatever for a lot of it. But yeah, Karamelle, I think, just kind of suffers from what me and other people call Arc 4 writing syndrome, in the sense that the writing here is not that great, dialogue is not that great. Yeah, just kind of a little bit sour, Smash-like. But the rest of Karamelle, again, you know, this world had a lot of potential. I think that it's not bad by any means. The fact that it's, you know, 15th of 20 might suggest that I think that it's bad, but I don't hate it, you know. I think that it's okay. It's not as engaging. It's a little infantilized in the writing, of course, like I mentioned, but other than that, Karamelle's okay. I mean, it is a major reduction in stakes from Empyrea, which is the world before it, but yeah, I mean, this is kind of just where, like, you meet the three Cabal stooges in Judge Veg, Quake Charmer, and Copycat. The latter two, not a fan of at all, but, you know, Karamelle, I think, could have been way better. I still like the overarching plot. I just think that the writing in it could have been much better, and that's why I'm not a big fan. There are a few, like, ridiculously hard fights for some reason. The Oogie Boogies and the Aberrant Paradox recently got nerfed, but the Oogie Boogies, I think, are in a good spot, but the Aberrant Paradox, my boy Firestarter, he recently tried to do the new standard mode of that recently on stream, and wanted to tear his hair out, so I don't know if that's going to make it back onto the Stonewall Bosses list, which I might do soon, maybe, question mark, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, other than that, Karamelle is okay. It's just kind of like, there's a lot of random difficulty spikes, and it feels like this is where we really enter that wiki era of Wizard101. Entering 14th place, we have Novus, and something that I think is a little bit funny to mention is the fact that up till now, actually, you know, still now, every single one of the worlds that I've gone over so far has had a street in my bottom 10 in the game. Celestia had the Grotto, of course. Wizard City has Firecat Alley. Azteca has multiple entries. Sierra de Bray and Cenote, I believe, were the two that made it. Croc had the Marketplace of Ideas. Mooshu had Kishibe Village. Karamelle had the Nibelheim area, and now we're in Novus, where it's home to Puerto Nuovo, and quite possibly the worst written characters in all of Arc 4. And this person's name is Divine. I think that's actually amazing. That's actually awesome. But yeah, Novus, I think, I don't get like any enjoyment out of the writing here. It has a couple of moments. This is basically where, like, Dasein, he's already been sort of fleshed out as a character. This is sort of like his learning arc, but we don't spend nearly enough time with him for me to really like this world. I think that it's okay otherwise, and I think that the Manticore, which is like this offshoot faction of the Cabal that actually was really compelling for the short amount of time that it was on screen. I think the Manticore had the most potential out of any sort of like side villain in the entire game. I think that it would have been so cool if while we were here we got to explore that a bit more, but we didn't. So yeah, Novus suffers quite a bit for that, and yeah, just not much else to really say on the matter. Novus is just not a world that I get much enjoyment out of at all. Now, I didn't plan this, but for our third back-to-back Arc 4 entry, we have Wallaru coming in at 13th place. And Wallaru is another one of those worlds that I don't outright hate, but I don't outright love. It's got its moments. The Dreaming absolutely deserves its spot in my top 10 streets in the game. And it does not actually have an entry in my bottom 10 streets in the game, so I think that it is a pretty notable jump in quality from Novus below it, but it's... I still think it's got its moments and a couple of poorly written characters. I mean, you know, you've got Furiosa here, who just like sucks. Between her and Mario DeMario, I think I've talked about before, I don't know which of those two I dislike more, like in terms of their characters. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. The characters here aren't so great. I think Freddy Croker is kind of like the Manticore if it got expanded upon a little bit more, except like without anything that sort of made the Manticore good. It was just sort of like Freddy was sort of this Cabal guy who got expanded on some more. Kind of like how I wish Manticore did, but didn't, and then Freddy Croker was not a great replacement, I will say. But either way, he was still kind of compelling. But the whole arc... Okay, so one thing I'm going to say right now. Pretty much everything until we get to the Billabong Resort and the Eucalyptus Forest. The Ned Colley plot was okay. I will say that. I liked the Ned Colley plot fine, but, you know, it was it's kind of slow. But once we reach the Eucalyptus Forest, that is when this world gets that much better. This just like is such an upturn in my enjoyment of Wallaru, and I really like it for that. This and the Billabong Resort, I think, are both amazingly done. And of course, you know, you have the Dreaming through this little cave up here in the Eucalyptus Forest. So yeah, overall, you know, I like the back half of Wallaru so much more than the front half, but I still have to go through the front half in order to get to the back half. And yeah, I just am not a fan of the front half very much at all, but this world absolutely does start to bring it back toward the end. So that's my take on it. I like Wallaru enough, not enough to put it, you know, close to the top half, but I like it some more than the others. And it does end up becoming my second favorite world in Arc 4. Here we are in Wysteria, the first side world entry that I will be putting on this list. And Wysteria, you know, it's short, but it's sweet. And what more could you really ask for? I am a huge fan of the whole Spiral Cup tournament aspect that this world has going on. And then there's also sort of like the B plot with, you know, Chester Drawers and the overgrowth just sort of all over the world between Pegasus Place was experiencing it, Tanglewood Way was experiencing it. But I like Wysteria. It's short, doesn't overstay its welcome, and I personally really enjoy it for that. yeah, I just don't really have much else to say. It is a good world, and I think it's one that I can confidently say that I enjoy whenever I come back through here. I do recommend doing it. That could be a hot take, but I do recommend doing Wysteria on your new characters. I think you have to beat Marleybone now, so it's not like a little XP buffer before Big Ben, but I do think that it's worth doing. And it gets you to level 30 that much quicker, so you can get your Sky Iron Hosta. So, all in all, Wysteria, it's got a lot going for it. I wish it could have been longer. I wish it could have been expanded upon. Y'all two must be twins. And part of me hopes we come back here for at least something in the future. Maybe we'll get a Chronicle from here someday. So, maybe, who knows, July 2029, we'll see a Wysteria Chronicle update. And I would be so down for that. But for now, though, Wysteria, short and sweet, doesn't really get to be higher, but you know what? That's okay. And so we arrive at the world of Beans on Toast, and we're here at Marleybone. And Marleybone, I think, is actually quite a decent world, I will say. I like Marleybone a good bit. Its pacing, I think, is much better than most of the rest of Arc 1, and what more could you ask for? I think that Arc 1 is quite good, and Marleybone, I think, really does contribute to that. I am honestly quite a big fan of sort of like this whole three, I guess, or no, it's just two. it's just Digmore and Scotland Yard, but I am still a big fan of this whole thing with, you come here to Chelsea Court to find Baxter, or no, you go to Hyde Park to find Baxter, and then eventually you find him and he's taken to Chelsea Court, and then you go to Chelsea Court and you free him in Chelsea Court, and then you take him to the Ironworks, and again, it's a compelling plot. It's memorable, and it's something to latch onto. I think that really gives Marleybone a lot of enjoyment value, and what can I say? I am a fan of Marleybone, because then you've got. Because after the Ironworks, that's when you go to Newgate Prison, because it's in the Ironworks where you find out that the O'Leary gang is trying to break Meowiarty out, and then Meowiarty is connected to Malastare, as we find in Newgate Prison, and then Knight's Court is kind of where it takes a bit of a backseat. I still like Knight's Court as its own standalone thing, but even still, And then you go to Katzenstein's lab. Really cool spot, I'm gonna say that. I love the idea of these, street dungeons, if that makes sense. They did a lot of these in Arc 1, and I personally liked them. I thought that it was cool, and, gave the world a bit more depth. So there was that, and then you do the counterweights, and then you do Big Ben. So overall, this is a very cohesive world, and, it's like the plot makes sense while you're here, and it ties back into the overarching story of Arc 1 very, very well, I would say. And for that reason, Marleybone gets to be a world that I like quite a fair bit more. You could probably tell, this 11th and 12th place here with Marleybone and Wysteria, they're considerably higher in terms of enjoyment than the worlds below it. Wallaru is sort of in this in-between spot, and then the ones below it all have entries in my bottom 10 streets, so that's really sick. But that kind of just tells you, it's Marleybone, and this top 12, 13-ish is where the stinkers finally taper off. So there is still a lot of good content left to go, is what I'll say. I don't know how many people are here. Probably a 4 stack if I had to guess, right? But anyway, we are in Grizzleheim today for our first entry in the top 10 worlds. I'm a fan. I will say that right now. I really do enjoy Grizzleheim a good amount. The whole the plot lines I think are pretty cool, because it's you come here trying to meet with the king, who is I forgot exactly what was going on with the king. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think like Ambrose sends you here to speak with them, and then you get told like, oh, you know, you can't just talk to the king. You gotta like learn our ways and become one of us. And so that's what we do. We go to Severstad Pass and join the team, and there's that. And then eventually we get sent off to the Vigrid Ruffland, where we free like the ensorcelled Thane and uncover some like plot that's going on with him. Like he was cursed by the ravens, and that leads us to Mircombe Keep, which I think was my favorite street in this entire world. That is where we sort of uncover the plot and the mystery behind it, which I think was really, really cool. And then we go to Ravenscar, and Ravenscar is sort of like that end of everything. I know people dog on it a lot, and it wasn't one of my favorites, but I do still get enjoyment out of Ravenscar. I kind of wish that we didn't have to run back and forth all the time, but I do still get some enjoyment out of Ravenscar. But then Wintertusk comes along after that. And Wintertusk, I really, really enjoy the story here. Because this is like, oh, you know, the Coven is back, and they're trying to wake up the Ice Titan, which, you know, pretty badass, right? And so you go to Wintertusk, you start off in Hrundlefjord, and then you collect all the golden seals to put Ymir to sleep. And the storylines sort of in here, I think, are also pretty fun. Osterland, you have like you're like solving riddles and stuff like that, learning how to play, I guess, this world's version of chess, as it were, which I think is pretty cool. And then you've got what else? Vesterland, with everything that's going on there, you know, helping the farmers, that sort of deal, and just like doing things for Vestry and whatnot. Suderland and Nordland are also more of the same. I personally like this part of Grizzleheim. And then Nastrond, dude, if I was making a top 10 streets in the game and I was counting dungeons, Nastrond would probably be like top 5. It is very, very well done. And like the best part of Grizzleheim, in my opinion. I think that this, like, Nastrond, absolute masterpiece. I'm gonna say that right now. So I mean, there's not much else to say to it. It's like that is where you finally stop the Ravens of the Coven and stave off the Everwinter. So there you go. You know, that I think it's a great plot, and it's a great plot for a side world that Grizzleheim is. And you know, Grizzleheim proper, you're not going to be getting XP from like that. But Wintertusk is absolutely, like, Wintertusk makes Grizzleheim worth doing, because you can get a lot of XP, you can get a pretty notable bump from Wintertusk. So I would definitely recommend doing that, like after Dragonspyre, somewhere in there, especially so you can craft the Wintertusk hat, which gives some crit, which is pretty nice. So yeah, Wintertusk, just really, really well done part of Grizzleheim, and I really do enjoy Grizzleheim as well. This might rustle some jimmies, but I am placing Dragonspyre in my number 9 spot. And I really enjoy this. Like, okay, I will say right now, it does have its slow moments here in the world of Dragonspyre, but this is sort of where, like, if you listen to the story, dictates where you're probably going to put this on your list. Like, I, for one, am a huge fan of the story here in Dragonspyre. This is like, this is a world that I have wanted to know much more about. Like, this world genuinely piques my curiosity, and I, for one, am a huge fan of this world. And again, like I said, sometimes the gameplay gets slow. That's how it is. But the storyline in Dragonspyre, I mean, you know, you come here to this to this spot, you know, looking for what was it, like a portal stone from the Tower Archives. So you go there, you meet Zarathax. He's a funny character, you know, eventually betraying you at the very end, which I thought was a compelling plot line. And then you go to the Plaza of Conquests, which I think I called my favorite full-length street in Dragonspyre. This is where, like, you learn some history, you learn how to fight, you learn like you actually fight some pretty tough bosses in the Plaza of Conquests, and you know, it's your first like big test of Dragonspyre, which I think was really cool. I enjoy the Grand Chasm as well. Like the Grand Chasm past is an absolute highlight of the place. Absolutely amazing, very well done spot here. And then you've got, after that, is when you go to the Necropolis, and that's when you do, you know, the Drake Hatchery, which is a bit slower, of course, but then you do the Crucible, and this is where you learn a lot more about Dragonspyre history and culture, and I think that Dragonspyre genuinely is one of the most fleshed out worlds in the entire game, if not just straight up the most. I really enjoy Dragonspyre a ton, and as somebody who is pretty invested in the story in this game, I am such a huge fan of Dragonspyre for that reason. And you know, it's like the Crucible. Once you're done here, that's when you go to the Labyrinth, and the Labyrinth is honestly quite a challenge for when you're like level 40 something going through it. So, you know, it's like this is a pretty big test as well, and overall, I mean, just like very well done dungeon here. And then after that is when you go off to the Crystal Grove, which was my least favorite street in the world, but still, you know, had its moments. It was okay. And then from there you go to, well, technically back to the Drake Hatchery, which the second part of the Drake Hatchery, when you come back during the Dragonspyre Academy sort of quest line, I thought was much, much better. This is when you actually like hatch a dragon egg, which is pretty cool. And then you go to the Forum to learn how to take care of it. And again, it's just more world building and really fleshes out the world of Dragonspyre really well. I'm such a huge fan of that. Like, forgive me, right, for putting this world high on my list. I genuinely get a lot of enjoyment out of Dragonspyre. So there you go. And then eventually you go off and fight Malistaire in the Crown of Fire. That, I think, is awesome. So, not much else to say. Dragonspyre is just kind of that guy, and it is an easy favorite for me in the first story arc. I've talked before in some of these worlds about unlikable characters and how they can kind of bog down the world. Lemuria, coming in 8th place here, has some of the most likable characters out of any world in the game. I really think that elevates this world to a spot that it would never get without them. I mean, this world is home to what I was thinking was going to be my least favorite street in the game of Mandoria, but also home to my absolute #1 favorite, and an easy one at that, and that was Heap. And I mean, it's like all of these streets here in not Novus, but Lemuria, they all have just such cool aesthetics to them. You know, it's like Sky City was an interesting one. The Night Forest had somewhat of an interesting plotline. Mandoria's plotline I did like a good bit. I mean, the gameplay was hell on earth, but it was still a really, really high point of the story. Loved Mandar and Duck Savage from Mandoria. Loved Solomon Crane from the Night Forest. Kind of, not really, but he was still okay. I loved Buck Gordon from Sky City. Absolutely loved the Bantam and that whole plotline from Earthside Village in the Wildlands. And then, of course, you know, undress the elephant in the room. You've got Dog Tracy and the Shadow from Heap. And, I mean, like, the characters in Lemuria all just amazing and perfectly done. And that's not even to mention the fact that this is where Dasein takes like center stage, and for some ungodly reason is the only world out of the 4 where he is taking center stage. The world that is literally formed from him, he's not center stage. I don't know why. Novus, I think, had like the most blown potential out of any world in the game, but when you're in Lemuria and you're talking to him, you're getting to know him and getting him to know like everything that's going on in the spiral and all of that, I think is absolutely just generationally great. And I love Lemuria for that. But again, you know, it is going to take a bit of a hit because the gameplay is hell on earth. I mean, I was not kidding when I said that. This is like... I mean, Mandoria is just an absolute struggle, and there's a lot of bosses here that can really test you, but other than that, the 8 heroes of Lemuria, and of course, you know, you've got Dasein himself, just beautifully done. I don't think I need to say more. Lemuria, I think, is widely hated for its gameplay, but absolutely deserves a chance in everyone's mind for the characters here. So, I don't know, hot take, right? But I personally am a pretty big fan of Lemuria. What am I getting from the smell of a chest? Okay, not a whole lot. Tough. In 7th place, we have the world of Zafaria, and let me tell you, I think that this world is beautifully done, beautiful to boot. I mean, this was, what, a year after Celestia? So it's like, the graphics team really bumped up, and I think Zafaria is just absolutely amazingly done. Beautiful. Yeah, you know, but like I said that already. This world, I think, has like a great plot line. This is where like you really start to get into the Morganth aspect of the second story arc. Celestia is where it started, but not really. I mean, there was the old prequest to Celestia, which I think did absolutely add some depth to it, but is no longer a part of the world. And then you had, like, the fact that she showed up in the chancel, and that was kind of it. That was kind of all that Morganth was doing in Celestia, and that's also part of why Celestia is my least favorite world in the game, because, like, why the hell are we there? But when you get to Zafaria, that is when, like, just so much about the plot of the second arc just clicks. And it's like... It's like Morganth really is a step above the like what you know from Malastare, and this, I think, was sort of just, I think that it was really cool. And you know, you have the savannah, you've got the Baobab area, you know. Zamunda and its outskirts were pretty boring, and they were an honorable mention on my least favorite streets list. But after you get past Zamunda, you know, Stonetown and Waterfront, those I think are pretty cool. You're not in either for too terribly long, which I think helps its case a lot. The Drum Jungle you are in for a good bit, but I personally don't hate the Drum Jungle. I know that there are a couple folks who do. I think that's justified. It is long for no discernible reason, but then you get to the Elephant Graveyard, and this was, like, I think that this was, like, the biggest sleeper pick for my top 10 favorite streets in the game, because, like, this is an amazingly well done area, and I did talk at length about it in that video not too long ago, so definitely go scope that if you want to know more about why I love the Elephant Graveyard, and just watch me heap more and more praise onto it. So overall, Zafaria, just beautifully done, just a masterclass. to say the absolute least. I mean, this world absolutely deserves to be up here at 7th place, like as high as 7th place. That I would say is high praise from me. Coming in 6th place, we have the world of Darkmoor, and let me tell you this right now. Had it not been for the Arcanum prelude to this world, where you, like, want to rip your hair out for the first hour of the playthrough, this world would be easily in the top 5, and might even knock off number 4. That is how good this world is. That is how good I find this world to be, because everything that happens in Darkmoor proper is amazing, and absolutely worthy of that. So, I mean, look, Darkmoor, I think, is just such a compelling world with such a compelling story. This world is just, I mean, beautifully done, and excellently sets the tone for the 5th story arc that's coming up. And, I mean, like, okay, let's talk for a moment, because, like, you have the Outsiders camp, you know, this is where you start, of course, and then you go to Graveholm first, and I think Graveholm is beautifully done as well. This is sort of like where you kind of meet the major players, like the lords of the houses and whatnot, and I think that it's really well done. You know, you've got people from all over the world, or not necessarily people are food here, remember that, but like people from the different, not people, but characters rather, from all of the different houses of Darkmoor, just sort of living in Graveholm. I think Graveholm was done excellently well. This is where, like, that Lucy Easton plot starts, where it's like she's sort of battling the curse, and this is where, like, the Broken Branch comes into play, and it's like this is sort of where you sort of learn, like, oh, you know, the Broken Branch was kind of made into Miranda Breyer's bitch for a while. And Miranda Breyer as well, I mean, the Mortal Plane is where you get to interact with her a little bit more. She is, I think, a very compelling villain. The most compelling, well, okay, I don't want to say the most compelling villain since Grandfather Spider, because she is the first arc villain since Grandfather Spider, but still, I mean, just absolutely amazingly written character, and I hope that kind of writing is here to stay. I think that, you know, Arc 4 writing, it took its toll on those worlds, but now we're in Arc 5, and Darkmoor was a much more serious and darker toned world, and I think that that really did it some good and made it that much more enjoyable. I mean, there are 2 worlds that I really want to know more about in this game, and they are Dragonspyre, like I mentioned, and Darkmoor. Not much else to say, but, like, that's my easy top 2 for worlds that I wish could be fleshed out more, and they're already pretty fleshed out. Because it's like, just like, continuing on, right? So the Mortal Plane, you know, that I think had a pretty compelling plot line to it as well. But then you have, you know, I'm actually just now realizing that these little spots on the map are different spots for the Outsiders camp. I didn't even think about that, but hell yeah, right? And then, okay, so you've got from there, the Howling Lands is next. Wasn't huge on the Howling Lands. I think that there are some good parts of it, like this is where we meet Runa, who I think was a pretty compelling character as well. She's sort of like the actual leader of the Broken Branch, and she sort of like understands us and understands, like, oh, you know, we have similar goals here, so it's like, chillax, that sort of deal. That's what she's all about. And like this is where this is where we inevitably fight Lord Barghest, who is my least favorite boss to fight in the game. So there you go. But overall, Howling Lands, it's okay. You know, bit of a blemish, but still pretty great. And then the Black Lagoon, I mean, okay, let me say this right now. I have waxed poetic plenty about the Black Lagoon and the Skullomance. Definitely go check out the Darkmoor Streets ranking if you want to hear more of my thoughts on that, because I did kind of yap for a while about those two streets and how just brilliantly done that they were. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people glaze Darkmoor, and it is absolutely deserving of all of it. I think that Darkmoor is just so beautifully done and was executed to perfection. Like I said, this could be as high as number 4 if that silly Arcana Prelude wasn't part of it, but still, Darkmoor, amazingly done world. It has me really, really pumped for Amara in the fall. What more can I say? The 5th arc is off to an amazing start. Kicking off our top 5, we are starting in Mirage. And this world, I mean, look, it's part of Arc 3. You fight Grandfather Spider here. Pretty much every single street is excellently done. I didn't hate any of these. And just, like, genuinely, this world is a masterpiece. I thought it was brilliantly done, especially with, like, the whole desert vibe. I think, you know, pulls it off better than Krokotopia, that's for sure. And so, again, you know, huge fan of all of Mirage and all of the streets in Mirage. And the overarching plot, I mean, because, like, okay, we're going to be talking for a little bit about the worlds of Arc 3, but yeah, I mean, Mirage is sort of like, Mirage is the middle one, and I think that, you know, it's very well executed as well. You know, you start off in Caravan, where, you know, you're sort of like trying to build up town, that sort of deal, you know, get people to come through and set up shop, which I think was great. And that's where you start. And then you go to the Alkali Barrows, and out in the Barrows, or burrows on the on this map, I guess, this is where you, I guess, find out that Overlord Xerxes is back, who's like taken over this entire world in the past. Of course, eventually you find out that he is Grandfather Spider's son, the Scorpion, but, you know, not important for right then. And, like, okay, the characters from Mirage, because it's in the Barrows where you meet Ozzy. I love Ozzy. I am a huge Ozzy fan, and I'm pretty sure so is everybody else. So, yeah, I mean, you get the picture. Like, the Alkali Barrows, good, and it's my least favorite street. Like, for me to be heaping praise onto the Barrows and still calling it my least favorite street in Mirage, I mean, it's like that'll tell you that this is a very well done world, with a lot of compelling characters and a compelling storyline. Like, the writers dialed it in for Arc 3, and I think all of us can appreciate that, because then you go off to Agrabah up here, and that's got its own interesting little thing going on. Again, happy with it. It's alright. And then from there, it's like, that's when the House Cats plot starts, and, you know, there's a bit of silliness there, I will say. But what can you really expect from the House Cats? But overall, you know, I'm a fan. I will say that right now. I am a fan of everything to do with Mirage. And sort of like that climactic final battle with Grandfather Spider, and the whole Zruvan Grotto in the Caterwall Canyons, I think, is also really, really great. This is where, like, we meet the Chronicle and learn, like, there's a big lore drop in the Zruvan Grotto. Basically, it's like stuff like that is what I wish we got out of Darkmoor and Dragonspyre. Because, like, I feel like there's so much to these worlds in the 3rd arc, but I feel like I know enough about them. And that, I think, is part of why Arc 3 was so well done and so well loved. It's just like, it was all around great, and you learn what you came for. So it's like, yeah, it's like you learn plenty about the worlds that you're in. I think it's great. So much like immersion. I mean, you have these two Drommels talking to each other, and it's not just them. There's plenty elsewhere. There's also the Thieves' Den, where you got people talking to each other. This world is amazing, and it's not that hard to see why. Would you look at that? This... I mean, let me tell you something about Empyrea. This is probably going to be one of the hotter takes of the video, but I really enjoy both parts of Empyrea. I like part 1, which might sound, you know, treasonous to say, but I do really enjoy Empyrea part 1. I think that it was excellently done. Granted, I've got a lot of nostalgia associated with it, so, you know, that, of course, is going to play a role. That was the first time I ever maxed a character, just for reference. And so, Empyrea Part 1, brilliantly done, I feel like. You know, you've got... Shoot, you got, like, the aerial jungle plot, which I thought was kind of cool, with Caliban and all of that. Short and sweet. Love it. Xanadu... It's okay, you know, not my favorite, but still cool. You know, it's like, I like Khan's dynamic with pork and beans in them, and then you go to Athenor, and this is when you're, like, solving the Civil War, and I think that's pretty cool as well. And then this is also where you can meet the Bat, which I think is cool, and then you team up with the Bat when you go to Sapitius. And I think that Sapitius does bring a pretty good end to part 1. But then you get to part 2, and you're off to, like, Samsara Village to heal Mallory, and I feel like Empyrea... There's a lot about Empyrea that I feel like is kind of overhated, if that makes sense. I definitely think that Empyrea, I really enjoy it personally. Like, part 2 is brilliantly done. I mean, it is the conclusion to the third story arc, which, I mean, everybody loves the third arc, and for good reason. Dude, I mean, like, this world was just, like, brilliantly done. I mean, granted, you know, I kind of do wish that there was a teleporter to Velo City, so that way we didn't have to walk all the way across both areas of the aeroplanes to get there, but yeah, you get the picture. But yeah, you've got Nimbus, which I think was kind of cool. You know, you've got like all the different tribes of the world, just all around very enjoyable world here. And then, of course, you have the Nexus and Reverie. That, I think, is just, like, absolutely amazingly done. But, I mean, look, y'all already know how I feel about the streets in Empyrea. This world is amazing, and I will never apologize for thinking that way about it. And then, of course, you know, at the very end, I don't know why it doesn't show the Husk here. It'll show the Reverie, but not Husk for some reason. But Husk is, like, one of my favorite streets in the game. I think my second favorite. I think it's the one right below Heap on that list. So, I mean, yeah, it's like that is where the conclusion of Arc 3 happens, and it was brilliantly done at that. So, yeah, I mean, Empyrea, just wow. Not much else to say. This is this is brilliant. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it just is. Empyrea is an experience, and I personally really enjoy it. So now for third place, we are coming all the way over to probably the most beloved world in the Spiral, that being Polaris. And anybody who's ever played through Polaris knows why it's this good. I should just cut it there. But personally, I mean, I don't really have any sort of unique experience with Polaris. I love it just as much as everybody else does, and I think that it's beautifully done. It is a perfect world to come to after, you know, the 277 quests in Khrysalis. So, yeah, I mean, it is a very nice and refreshing experience, and everything you do here, I mean, it's the start of the third arc, you know, and everybody loves it, for good reason. Polaris is just, like, out and out amazingly done, and I don't think I need to say more. It's just like, if you've been through here before, you know why it's this high. In second place, we have Khrysalis, and this is one that I do feel like I might need to defend myself on a little bit. Wow. Did I find another 4-stack? I must have. That must have been what was going on earlier. I think it just didn't load in the carriage mount here, but let me tell you. Khrysalis, I think, it's another one of those that you really have to, like, think about the storyline while you're there. And it's like the storyline here, by now, you know what Morganth is up to. I mean, it's like, you went through Azteca and all of that, and for all of Azteca's faults, at least you know that Morganth is like the big bad. So that, I think, that really helps Khrysalis' case, because y'all are here for longer than any other world in this game. You are here for 277 quests. So, you know, there's that. But I do think, truly, that Khrysalis is amazingly done. And I really don't have words. I mean, it is long, but I do still enjoy it a lot. And I mean, look, you've got Divum Whiteheart. You know, it's like part 1 might be a lot of back and forth, but at least you got him, right? And he's like boosting your stats and whatnot. Just all around great. And the storyline in part 1, I think, is really cool. This is like you're helping the burrowers rebel and that sort of thing. And by the end of it, you've learned shadow magic. You have taken back Bastion. You have, like, freed countless people from being under the Shadow Queen's aegis at that point. And I think that is just, like, it's so rewarding to get through. And I think that is a big part of why I like Khrysalis so much. It just feels good to get stuff done here. So, I don't know. Maybe call me crazy, but I do really, really enjoy Khrysalis a ton. And I think that it is deserving of more praise. It's like, y'all are here for a long time, but you're also in Azteca for a long time. And I think that the difference and enjoyment here is the gameplay and the storyline. The storyline is much more engaging, and the gameplay is the same. You know, you've still got like high health bosses, but they're actually not as high health as Azteca, which I found quite interesting. The average boss health here is, for some reason, lower than in Azteca, but, you know, I will always take that. And so, I mean, again, you know, the gameplay here, better, in my opinion. You're having more fun while you're here. Not to mention, you know, halfway through, you hit level 100, you hit triple digits, you had to go to Castle Darkmoor and get your gear. Khrysalis is just beautifully done, I feel like, and is deserving of all of the praise that it gets. I feel like Khrysalis, to me, is like... Khrysalis is a world that I think, like, I do see Khrysalis getting praise. It's just like, I also see it getting a lot of hate too. So it's like, again, you know, you are here for a while. I do think that some of the quest line, especially in part 1, could be truncated. I feel like, you know, we don't need to defeat 25 blue razors or whatever the number ends up being. But I enjoy Khrysalis That's all I really have to say about it. I think that the storyline really makes this world worth doing, and I mean, like, what else is there to say? Just like, the storyline is peak, absolutely love it, and like just look, just listen to it, listen and look. You've got like cherry blossoms floating in the wind after you free Bastion. You've got like a more upbeat sounding musical track to back it. This is just like, you feel like you're doing something, and that is why I will always love the world of Khrysalis. And to the surprise of nobody that knows me, Avalon is coming in #1 yet again. This world is another masterpiece. This is another one that I think people, by and large, like a lot, in the sense that, like, the theming here is amazing. I love sort of like the medieval knights and castles type thing that it's got going on, but it's also got its own really compelling storyline to it. It's a little detached from the rest of Arc 2. That is one thing that I will always say about it. You know, if you're looking for big lore drops on Morganth in the second arc, this is not the place to find it. But you do kind of find some of that in Ghost Avalon, which I think is cool. But other than that, you know, you're kind of here for that Sword of King's wild goose chase. And all the while, you are helping restore the world and freeing it from the Frowling Army and the Pendragon and whatnot. And then you eventually come to find out that the Pendragon is actually King Artorias himself, who you've only heard about up to this point, so, or at least up to the point you find out. So all around, just like, Avalon is a masterpiece, and I mean, I've been saying that forever. So yeah, I mean, no surprises. Avalon, just like, amazingly done world. I don't think I need to say more about it. It's just that guy. And I know that there are some people who don't really like the whole, like, goose chase aspect with the Sword of Kings, but, you know, you gotta stop and smell the roses, is what I say. Silver roses, as it were. And that will get you so much more enjoyment out of this world, because it truly is something else. I really enjoy it. It's another one of those where it's like, you feel like you're doing something as you progress through it. Just all around amazing. Yeah. I mean, don't really need to say more. It is just seriously that good, and I will always enjoy this world. Will I always put it at #1? I'm not sure. Darkmoor set an amazing precedent for the rest of Arc 5, so who knows how that's going to go. Perhaps some new world down the line could end up taking this world's spot, so we'll have to see if that ever happens. I was about to say I'm not optimistic that it will, but anything can realistically happen, because as much as I love Avalon, Darkmoor was pretty damn good, so we're going to have to see how the rest of this arc ends up going. But for now, that is going to wrap up, so thank you all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more, and I will see y'all later.